whenever we deal with AC circuits, so we'll come across capacitors and inductors. Capacitor. Here students, already you know resistor. Okay, it's opposition for the flow of current. This capacitor and inductors are called AC elements. The capacitors are of two types. One is a polarizer capacitor. Another one is unpolarizer capacitor. Okay, a polarizer capacitor means a capacitor will be having a polarity, like a positive and negative. Unpolarizer capacitor means a capacitor will not be having a polarity. Means whether you use, say, means if there is a capacitance which will be having two terminals, because capacitor will be having a two terminal. Whether you connect, say, first terminal and second terminal, interchange while connecting. So if you interchange first and second terminal, that doesn't make any difference. Whereas in case of polarizer capacitor, it will be represented like this. One will be straight line and another will be a little bit curved line. This is a polarizer capacitor. This is a symbol for unpolarizer capacitor, whereas this is a symbol for polarizer capacitor. So where this straight line indicates plus and this indicates minus. Okay, polarizer and unpolarizer capacitor. Now here the capacitance, when two capacitances are in series, say this is C1, C2. Okay, the equivalent capacitance C equivalent is equal to, it is C1, C2 divided by C1 plus C2. Nothing but it is 1 by C, say 1 by C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. And if two capacitors are in parallel, something like this. Okay, so connected in parallel. This is C1, this is C2. Then say C equivalent. Okay, here say C equivalent is equal to directly C1 plus C2. Try to remember, dear students, this is opposite of that of a resistance. When two resistors are in series, the equivalent resistance is R1 plus R2. R1 and R2, two resistors, the equivalent resistance will be R1 plus R2. But when two capacitances are in parallel, then equivalent will be R1 plus R2. And when two capacitances are in series, then 1 by C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. If there are n number of capacitances connected in series, like say C1, C2, C3, C4, so on to Cn, then 1 by C equivalent will be equal to, say, 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus so on to 1 by Cn. Okay. And if n number of capacitances C1, C2, C3, so on to Cn are connected in parallel, then C equivalent will be equal to C1 plus C2 plus so on to plus Cn. Okay. So this is capacitances in series and parallel. Okay. Similarly, you will have a very important thing, dear students. When we consider a capacitance, let us connect a DC source. Here, this is a capacitance. Let us connect some DC source. So with positive and negative. What will happen as soon as you connect? Say initially the capacitance will not be charged. Okay. So as soon as you are going to connect it, here say this particular battery, from this battery, a negative charge is going to flow, and it will be say charged with the negative, and this will be charged with positive. Okay, and now say this capacitance has been charged. Once the capacitance is going to charge, now to discharge, see, all whatever the electrons are there here, means which I call it as a negative charge, have occupied this plate, and obviously the positive charge have occupied here. For that particular time, the current will flow through this circuit. Later, whatever the charges have occupied on this plate, there is no path to flow further, nothing but, so there is no path to discharge. Because of that, say no current will flow further through this capacitor. Means whenever we connect a DC source across a capacitor, no current can flow through that particular circuit because there is no path. Once it will going to charge completely, there is no path to discharge. Say if you consider in place of a in place of DC, if you consider a AC source, let us consider this is the AC source. Okay, AC source is represented like this. And now say if this is a positive and this is negative, how does the AC source will be there? If it is a voltage source, consider that it will going to vary like this. If it's a current, say this is some I, small I, this is set with respect to T. At 0, the current is 0. As the time goes on increases, okay, see the current goes on increases, means electrons, what the negative charge goes on, starts flowing, they'll occupy here, okay. At say for example, some T, at some T here, say some T1, the current is maximum, means more number of charges is going to occupy here. And afterwards, the charge is going to decrease. What will happen? Whatever the charges are occupied here, now next is it will going to decrease because sinusoidal is, so all the time it will not be static like a DC current. It is steady, static all the time. With respect to T, it is steady. But now it is decreasing. It is decreasing means the electrons goes on discharging from this capacitor. Okay. Now the current direction, say it goes on decreases, becomes 0. So becomes 0 means that there will not be any charge on this capacitor. All the charges will be removed. And later they start flowing in opposite direction. Means say in a alternating current. In one half cycle, if the current is like this, in the second half cycle, the current will be like this. Nothing but this will become negative and this will become positive. Now, say in the second half cycle, this will be charged with the negative charge carriers and this will be charged with the positive. Like this, in one cycle, in half of the cycle, the current will flow in this direction. Let us consider in the next half of the cycle, the current will flow in opposite direction. Means in both the cycle, there will be a flow of current in this through this capacitor, a circuit containing this capacitor. But here in DC, it will charge. There will not be any path to discharge. That's the reason we say it. We say that a capacitor blocks a DC and it allows AC. Dear student, remember a capacitor is going to block a DC and it allows a AC to pass through it. Okay. So now, say I'm going to, in today's class, I'm going to discuss inductor, which is one more AC element. Okay. What are inductor? See, inductor consists of a conducting wire. It consists of, when I say inductor, it is made up of or consists of conducting wire. So made up of some n number of terms. Say we can represent an inductor something like this: a coil with some n number of terms, say which is a two-terminal device, a passive device, two-terminal passive device, and the inductance of an inductor is represented by capital L. If at all I want a voltage, say for example the current through this is I, and voltage across this is, if it is V, then voltage across a inductance is given by V is equal to, it is L into di by dt. So where, so what is L here? L is inductance. Okay, actually it is a proportional, a constant of proportionality, which is called inductance of the inductor. The voltage is derivative of a current that is flowing through an inductor, and L is a proportional constant of proportionality, and that constant of proportionality is called inductance of an inductor. So what are basically inductance is? Like say resistance, which is a property of a resistor. By virtue of it, it will oppose the flow of current passing through the any element. Similarly, inductance is the property whereby an inductor will exhibit the opposition to the change of current flowing through it. So what a inductance is? Inductance is a property which will oppose the change of current. So it is going to oppose the change of current flowing through it. See, resistance will oppose the current flowing through it. Whatever that means, it will oppose the current to flow through it. Whereas inductance will not oppose the current flowing through it. But what it opposes is, it will oppose the change of current. Say, for example, at a particular time t1, if the current is 2 ampere flowing through this particular inductor, if it is 2 ampere, suddenly at some t1 plus delta t, little bit incremental time, if suddenly this current changes to 3 ampere, that it will going to oppose. Means inductance will going to oppose the change of current. Okay, so that property, say we call it as an inductance, right? And say inductance, obviously it depends upon the physical dimension as capacitor, which is epsilon A by D. Capacitance of a capacitor is given by C is equal to epsilon A by D, where epsilon is the say permittivity of a dielectric, and A is the area of a plate, and D is the distance between two plates, which you already know. Similarly, the inductance depends on the physical dimension. Like inductance, based on the physical dimension, the inductance is given by L is equal to N square mu A by L. So this L is inductance, whereas this small l is length of the coil. So here N is a number of windings or say turns. Mu is permeability. So it is permeability of the core. Okay, so within this say core means there will be turns, right? Say inside that turns, so what will be the permeability? That inside the turns, whatever the media is there, that we call it as a core. Okay, so the permeability of that core, and A is a cross-sectional area. It is a cross-sectional area. A is a cross-sectional area, and small l is length. Say three passive elements already we know. Say one is resistor, the second one is capacitor, and the third one is inductor. What I do in today's class, before I proceed further, I am going to list out the important characteristics of these three passive elements. And if resistors are in, say, for example, series combinations. If we see series combinations, if resistors are in series, the equivalent will be, say, for example, we'll consider only two resistors, R1 plus R2. Here, if capacitances are in series, then equivalent capacitance will be C1, C2 divided by C1 plus C2. And if inductors are in series, then equivalent inductance will be L equivalent is equal to L1 plus L. Now, if they are in parallel, if these elements are in parallel, if resistors are in parallel, R equivalent is will be actually 1 by R equivalent will be 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus so on 1 by Rn. Say considering only two resistors, it will be R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Similarly, here C equivalent will be equal to C1 plus C2, whereas here L equivalent will be equal to L1 L2 divided by L1 plus L2. And it's a very important thing at DC. What about DC? In case of C, however, whether it is a AC source or DC source, the resistor will behave same. There will not be any change in a resistance. Say it will oppose even AC current as well as the DC current. Resistor will going to say oppose AC and both DC currents. Whereas capacitor, it will become open circuit for DC source. Okay, so it will be open circuit, and inductor will be open circuit for DC current. Sorry, it will be short circuit. Okay, see, for a DC current, the resistor will be same, means the behavior of resistor will be same as that in AC. Whereas for a capacitor, for DC it will become open circuit and inductor will become a short circuit. And see, a variable means a circuit, a variable that cannot change abruptly. Like say for example, let us consider a parameter which cannot change abruptly. I'll write parameter that cannot change abruptly means suddenly. suddenly. Which parameter cannot change suddenly with across resistor? Okay, so even voltage can change and even current flowing through it can change. Because of that, it is not applicable here. NM is here not applicable. Whereas through a capacitor, voltage cannot change abruptly. Current can change abruptly, but voltage cannot change abruptly. Say through capacitor, because to change a voltage, whatever the charges are there, they should abruptly flow out of or say into the capacitor. That cannot be possible at a t is equal to 0. It requires some delta t. Okay, for that purpose, voltage say cannot change abruptly across a capacitor. That particular property itself will make use in case of what is that, AC to DC conversion. Okay, this particular property itself is useful in AC to DC conversion, where we are going to use a capacitor as a filter. Okay, and in case of inductor, I cannot change suddenly. Okay, so I is nothing but current. Current cannot change suddenly. Because of that, see, the inductors are used in choke to avoid the variations, means fluctuations in a current. What will be the voltage current relationship in all three passive elements? So let me write here a element. Say which element, and here say there are, as you know, in two domain we can represent. One is time domain and another one is frequency domain. Say element R means resistor. In time domain it is V is equal to Ri, and even in frequency domain it is V is equal to Ri. And inductance L, in time domain V is equal to L into di by dt, whereas in frequency domain it is V is equal to j omega L so j omega L I, it is I. And C here is equal to, in time domain it is C into dV by dt, where C is capacitance, and in frequency domain it is V is equal to I divided by j omega C. Okay, so we'll see all these things once again, but remember, say this is a time domain representation of voltage current relationships in all three passive elements, and this is frequency domain representation of voltage current relationship for all three passive elements. Okay, so far we know resistance, capacitance, and inductance, but say when it comes to a AC circuit, there is a one term called impedance or admittance. Oftenly we hear about this term, impedance or admittance. Let us see what are these two terms. See, one thing, dear students, V is for a resistance, V is equal to R into I. For that of the inductance, it is V is equal to j omega Li. For capacitance, it is V is equal to I divided by j omega C. Right? Say here, say what I have written is from this in a frequency domain. From this we can write V here is for a resistance. Let me write V by I is equal to R. Okay. And for that of inductance, it is V by L. V by I is equal to j omega L. And here V by I is equal to 1 divided by j omega C. Okay. See, if you see all these three expressions, from these three expressions, we can obtain Ohm's law. Okay, so we can obtain Ohm's law in phasor form. Okay, say Ohm's law in phasor form, it is given by, say in general form, we can write it as Z is equal to V by I, or say V is equal to Zi. Where Z is in general, where Z is a frequency dependent quantity. It is a frequency dependent quantity because say these terms, say whatever V by Z and V by I, V by I here, say it is j omega L and 1 by j omega C comes into picture only in AC circuit. And AC circuit is nothing but, say in a AC, for a DC, the frequency is equal to 0, F is equal to 0. The frequency will exist only in AC. Okay, because of, means the these parameters came into picture because of the frequency. So because of that, Z is called frequency dependent quantity, and it's known as, okay, so impedance, and is measured in ohms. Okay, so unit of impedance is ohms. Right. So what exactly impedance? So if you see its significance, okay, so this is all a mathematical relation, but if you see a significance of impedance, what a impedance is. See, it represents, impedance represents opposition. It represents the opposition, that the circuit exhibits, that a circuit exhibits to the flow of sinusoidal current, or say I can say it as a AC current. Okay, so AC is nothing but alternating current. Okay, so or say as we discussed yesterday, say it is because of the sinusoidal current. Sinusoidal current is commonly called as AC current, alternating current. For passive elements, impedance and admittances. So let me write that. Impedances and admittance. Admittance is reciprocal of impedance. Impedances and admittances of passive elements. I'll just list out passive elements. So 3 passive elements. Say here, as usual, if first column is element, and second column how to write a impedance for that element, and third column is admittance of the element. For resistor, Z is equal to R. Directly, the impedance is nothing but a resistance. Whereas admittance is reciprocal of resistance, that is impedance, which is 1 by R. Okay. For an inductor, Z is J omega L. Okay. And here Y is equal to 1 divided by J omega L. And for capacitance, C is equal to, for capacitance C, impedance is given by Z is equal to 1 divided by J omega C, whereas here Y is equal to J omega L. Right? So this is for, sorry, this is for C, no? J omega C. Right? So means this is a impedance of different passive elements. Okay, so what exactly are impedance? Impedance is the opposition. It's opposition that a circuit will exhibit to the flow of AC. Resistance is opposition for the flow of DC. When I say a resistance, it exists only for DC. Whereas when I say impedance, it is a general. It's a flow of current for a sinusoidal, means a AC current. Impedance is a opposition for the flow of current, that to AC current, flow of a AC current, sinusoidal current. For DC source, if you look at Z, say ZL is equal to, for that of an inductor, ZL is equal to, if omega is 0, ZL is 0. And ZL 0 is nothing but what? Impedance 0 is nothing but inductor is short circuited. Whatever the inductor is there, it will become, means impedance 0 means it's as good as inductor is short circuited. Whereas that for a ZC, if we see, omega is 0, nothing but impedance is infinity. That indicates capacitor is open circuited. When omega is 0 means for DC, inductor acts as a short circuit and capacitor acts as a open circuit. Whereas for AC, say for example for high frequencies, if you consider a very high frequency, omega is, let us consider infinity. For a high frequency, if omega is infinity, look at this, Z will become infinity for an inductor. ZL is infinity, whereas that for capacitance, Z is equal to 0 nearly. Okay, ZC tends to 0. ZC is the impedance of a capacitance. ZL infinity is nothing but inductor is open circuited. ZC is equal to 0 is nothing but capacitor short circuited. Nothing but for high frequency, inductor acts as a open circuit, whereas capacitor will act as a short circuit. Right? So with this, I'll proceed further to see a complex. As I told, the Z, which is nothing but an impedance, it's a complex quantity. Z is a complex quantity. So it is nothing but impedance. As it is a complex quantity, in a rectangular form, so we can represent a Z is equal to R plus Jx, where R is equal to, it's a real part of Z. Okay, so nothing but it is a resistance. Real part of Z is nothing but a resistance, whereas X is, it's an imaginary part of Z, which is nothing but it's a reactance. So resistance will be there for both for AC and DC, but reactance will be there only for AC. This reactance X may be positive or negative. Either it can be positive or negative. See, one thing is here, we say that impedance is inductive when X is positive. Means if X is positive, let us consider if X is positive, then we say that Z is, it is inductive. Means impedance is inductive. When X is negative, we say that Z is capacitive. Means impedance is capacitive. What if X is 0? That's nothing but impedance is resistive, purely resistive. Dear students, when Z is positive, means reactance is positive, reactance will be positive only for inductive impedances, and reactance will be negative for capacitive impedance, and reactance will be 0 for resistive impedance. Means say if X is equal to 0, we'll get Z is equal to R, which is purely resistive. Okay, so purely inductive means there should not be any R part. Purely capacitive means there should not be say any R part, there should be only say X part, that too negative X. Only negative X is purely capacitive, only positive X is purely inductive. But most of the time that will not be the case. There will be R along with inductor or a resistor, capacitor. Okay, so but X can be 0 for a DC. If X is equal to 0, then Z is purely resistive. Okay, and purely resistive means how do we represent? Say for example, purely resistive means Z will be equal to say some R. Dear students, remember one thing: if Z is in something like R plus Jx, it is inductive. Z is R minus Jx, it is capacitive. And when I say inductive and capacitive, so there is something come into picture. Say that is inductive or lagging. In case of inductance, say there a current will lag. In case of capacitance, current will going to lead the voltage, whereas in case of inductance, current will going to lag the voltage. Okay, and say in this is in term Z in terms of rectangular form. If at all we represent a Z nothing but impedance in a polar form, say in polar form, Z in polar form, say this impedance in, say we have represented this in rectangular form. Okay, so whereas in polar form it is Z, means Z will be equal to, impedance is magnitude of Z and angle some theta, where say if you consider Z in terms of rectangular form, it is R plus Jx, and that will be equal to magnitude of Z angle theta, where if you want magnitude of Z in terms of rectangular quantities, it will be under square root R square plus X square, and that of theta will be equal to tan inverse of X by R. And similarly, say R is equal to magnitude of Z cos theta, and X will be equal to magnitude of Z sin theta. So these are the conversion formula from polar to rectangle and rectangle to polar for a impedance. Okay, and one more thing, dear students, because the admittance is 1 over impedance, if at all we represent the admittance, the admittance is a reciprocal of impedance, nothing but y is equal to y, which is a admittance, it will be equal to 1 by z, or I can write it as I by v, because v by I is z. Okay. Once again, dear students, this is a complex quantity and the unit is Siemens, capital S, or even mho. Okay. So it will be mho. And as it's a complex quantity, y can be represented as y is equal to g plus jb, where g will be equal to real part of y, which is called conductance, and b is equal to imaginary part of y, which is called susceptance. G is conductance and B is susceptance. Admittance, conductance and susceptance all can be represented either in Siemens or in mho. So whereas impedance, resistance and reactance all can be represented in terms of ohm. Okay, so keep this in mind. And as I told, G is equal to, G plus JB will be 1 by Z. 1 by Z can be written as R plus JX. Okay. So if we are going to rationalize this right hand side, this can be equal to, this is R 1 divided by R plus JX. So let us rationalize this. R minus JX divided by R minus JX, which is equal to R minus JX divided by R square plus X square. Right? And dear students, here equating real and imaginary parts, if we equate both real and imaginary parts, then what we get, G will be equal to R divided by R square plus X square. So after equating real and imaginary parts, okay, so G will be equal to R divided by R square plus X square, whereas B will be equal to minus X divided by X square plus R square, or R square plus X square, whatever. Right? And one thing is important, dear students, here G, which is conductance, is not equal to 1 by R, because this is the case in case of resistive. In case of resistive load, say, or a resistive impedance, when impedance is purely resistive, there G is equal to 1 by R. But here G is not equal to 1 by R because it is R divided by R square plus X square. But one thing is sure, if X is 0, then G is equal to 1 by R. And when X is 0, nothing but reactance is 0, it will be purely resistive. In case of pure resistive, G is equal to 1 by R. And say, towards the end of discussion of impedance, if impedances are in series, okay, so in case of series impedance, means impedances are in series, then Z equivalent will be, say if Z1, Z2, Z3, so on to Zn are in series, then Z equivalent will be Z1 plus Z2 plus so on to plus Zn. Whereas those impedances, if they are in parallel, then say Z equivalent, like say 1 by divided by Z equivalent will be equal to 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2 plus 1 by Z3 plus so on to plus 1 by Zn. Or even it can be written as 1 by Z equivalent will be equal to, say, Y equivalent. Y equivalent is admittance, equivalent admittance. 1 by Z1 is Y1 plus 1 by Z2 is Y2 plus 1 by Z3 is Y3 plus so on to plus 1 by Zn will be Yn. Right? This is all about impedance and admittance. Hope this is clear to all of you. Thank you. Thank you for watching.